Okay, so I think we're good to go. It was fun getting here. Thank you, Roro, for the yes in the message. Yeah, it's fun getting here. My name is Justin Burton. I work for Datto Systems in the Solidworks brand. Privileged to have Jason Pohl here with us today. And Jason's here to talk about his experience with SolidWorks, with design, his modeling process, kind of loads and loads of stuff. So let's just dive straight in. And I want to just hand over the whole screen. I'll just stop sharing, Jason, and then you can take over.
Sure. It's okay, can everyone see my screen here?
Yep, seeing it good.
Okay, so this is my website. Hi, thanks. Okay, yeah. thanks for having me here today. It's awesome to be part of Fab 16 and just thrilled to be able to present and share my body of work with other makers that are out there. So basically, this is my website. It's an online portfolio of not all the work, but a lot of the work that I've done as a designer and a maker over the years, and it's pretty cool. You can see everything that I got going on here, and what I'm about these days is I have my own design firm, Jason Pohl, and it's awesome. I get to work on product design, conceptual designs. I specialize in 3D modeling, doing those really complex curves and shapes that are hard to model, but I really pride myself on putting style to 3D models and making overall products better and easier to use and just look better. Okay. And I have my own shop these days where I do prototyping, small fabrication runs, and different things like that. Basically, I also offer 3D animation. So I do that for all my clients. So sometimes it's nice to be able to take a concept sketch, work with a design team or a fab team, and refine that sketch with a 3D model, and then kick out really nice renderings and even animations or 3D spins of that new part. So that's where my focus is at these days. But I think a lot of people are gonna probably recognize me from my last career, which was at Orange County Choppers as an industrial designer. I was the lead designer there for about 16 years. This is one of the demo reels that I created with different various bikes that I did. I did around 300 different unique chopper designs. All these were made for the TV show American Chopper, which aired in 160 countries through Discovery Networks.
Still is airing, Jason. I watch it with my kids on a Saturday morning. So
right on. Still there. It's one of those things. It's a chopper is kind of timeless. You can pull it out of a barn or something 20 years later, and it's still pretty cool. So yeah, this one was made for the football team. This was one of my favorites right here. This was for the biker build off with Jesse James, and that one's for Inca Cola, the Peruvian soda. And this is for some friends of mine. But all these bikes were actually designed, modeled, and built. Okay, so this is what a lot of times the client would see, and then give the blessing or the approval for us as a team to move forward with it. I had a really cool opportunity to work with a lot of really cool people. Like this one was for Shaquille O'Neal, did a bike for Muhammad Ali, I don't know, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, all these different athletes and actors like Bill Murray and Russell Crowe, Will Smith. So got to meet some really interesting people, and being in the spotlight with the television show, we were able to reach a huge audience across the world. And for me, it was always a thrill. Got to travel a lot and see lots of different places in the world, and just thoroughly enjoyed that job. But what I enjoyed the most about it was probably just being able to make something every day, you know, go to work. And that's what I thrive on, is to be able to, you know, have an idea. Sometimes it's a rough sketch, and other times, you know, take that rough sketch and then just refine it, you know, a little bit more, and develop a product with it. And so that's what it's all about still. But I do like looking at this. It's a big part of me and who I am. You know, I spent 16 years doing this, and I'm proud of the body of work that came from it. But
I think one of the things I always found, Jason, was when you mentioned, or found amazing, was just you mentioned before about how many bikes you would do, as in like the time frame for each bike, like 2 weeks or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah. A lot of times it was, you know, when with the Discovery Channel, the film crew being there, they're there to capture, and they just need to capture and keep going. So as a designer, I had to stay ahead of everyone. So it wasn't like one project at a time for me. And I was kind of jealous of like the fabricators, because they can only work on literally one gas tank, you know, with a hammer, which is awesome, for one bike at a time. But for me, I always felt like I had to juggle 3 or 4 bike designs to stay ahead with, you know, ordering the frame, ordering the materials, making sure the motor's there, and, you know, starting the 3D model of the wheels and all the other components that were on the bike. So I felt like I always had to do 3 or 4 projects at once in order to stay ahead. So if the entire, you know, the pressure of a camera guy in front of you wasn't like enough, it was interesting to have to accommodate the crazy schedule, you know. But you know, I'm not complaining because I like work, you know. So, but
So,
yeah, so
I know you told us a bit about that. Where did it start for you, Jason? Where was, like, you know, where did design start for you, or where did Solidworks start for you?
Yeah, for me it was a really young age. You know, I was always trying to impress people around me by, you know, drawing pictures or painting. And I was the weird guy that was always sculpting and building something, you know. Like I could take a bunch of garbage and turn it into something really cool. So it didn't matter what it was. I just had like a strong desire to make something or build something, you know. And it was always, that's what kind of drove me at first, is like to get like someone else to be like, yeah, that's cool, you know, and to feel that energy. And, you know, you're making something and you're building something with your own hands, and to get that spark out of the next person. So they're like, wow, that's cool too, you know. And for me, it was very contagious, and it was just something that I had to do. And so I started out at a young age, and I decided to go to art school out of high school. I had an art teacher that explained to me that, you know, design is everywhere, and if you want it bad enough, you can go get it, you know. And so I started out I went to art school, and I loved that because it was all project based. It was like, okay, you got to build this, you got to execute that. And it wasn't so much all these rules like traditional school, you know. It was like, okay, here's a project, do the best you can and execute, you know. And I loved that. I loved having the control and the creative ability to just navigate the problem and solve it, you know. And it was cool because it's one of those things you can't really predict, and there isn't a right answer in the back of the textbook when it comes to art and design. You know, you just have to go for it. And so after art school, I was a video game animator and a 3D modeler for Incredible Technologies, and that was an awesome job. I did video games, okay, so out by Chicago, and worked on a couple of video games. But I realized I needed to do more, and I wanted to make like more tangible items that you could hold, you know, something that you could use. And, you know, ultimately I wanted to show my parents and my grandparents like, hey, this is what I made today. And if they weren't playing video games, which they weren't, they couldn't really see my artwork. So I wanted more people to see my artwork and my passion. So I accepted a job as a senior designer at Orange County Choppers back in 2004. And that was cool because it was like these real life, choppers that you could get on and ride, and just, it was fun, these 10-foot choppers. They were a lot of times really ridiculous, but it was, you had to overcome, and to me, it was solving the problem was getting the client to approve what they, what you wanted to give them, and then build that successfully with a very talented team I got to work with. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of my history there.
So today, obviously, we wanted to, it's called Modeling and Design with Jason Pohl. It's not just called like Let's Learn About Jason, although I can listen to like your stories of OCC and just, the passion that you clearly have for design forever.
Right on.
But let's get into a little bit of the modeling aspect and some of the things you do. But before you do that, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things myself. So let's do one of these really smooth transitions.
Yeah.
And let me just share my my screen again. So what I wanted to highlight really is today Jason uses 3D Experience SolidWorks, and he uses the other sort of roles that come with that, and we're going to really go into looking at those in a second. But also today we announced 3D Experience SolidWorks for makers. So this is kind of the design tools that Jason uses today, for his business, for the work he does for us, but now available for hobbyists and personal projects for makers. And just to give you an idea of what this is, and then to kind of bridge to what Jason's going to show, when you click on the links, if you go to solidworks.com/makers, you'll click on the link, you'll be able to sort of purchase the solution. But what you get with that is something called 3D Sculptor, which is subdivisional modeling. It's kind of push-pull. We're really going to show this today. You get 3D Creator, and both of these two tools are through the browser, so you don't need to install anything. It's just through the cloud. So this is parametric design, but through the browser. And then finally, you have 3D Experience SolidWorks Professional, which is an installed application. It's SolidWorks that, that's always been there. Say always been there, it's 25 years or something like that. It's always been there for me. And, you install this SolidWorks today, but it's connected again to the platform, to the other tools that I've just talked about. Along with that as well, you get Visualize Connected, which is part of 3D Experience SolidWorks Professional. And you also get some data management, some PLM tools if you want to use them for collaboration. And then you also get, as I said, the sort of collaboration tools. Now, to sort of throw Jason in the deep end, about a day ago, and I didn't say deep end as a pun, but I should have. I challenged him to create something for us. So we did a quick sort of search for some models of all the motors and the sort of bits that you need to make a radio controlled boat kind of move. So we downloaded that, and that's where we started this design. So again, a seamless transition. Let's switch back to Jason. And let's take a look at some of the design work.
Yeah, sure. So I assume everyone can see my beautiful side profile sketch of a boat here. Now, this isn't just any boat. This is a catamaran style boat, okay? Because they just look cooler, all right? And I was a little shocked when I was asked to design a boat because, I have zero experience with designing a boat, but I always thought like if I had one, it would probably look like this. So, so I designed this, and I started with bringing in the motor assembly that Justin found. And this is like how the motor works. It's right there in the back. And I wanted to share with you how I modeled this. So I'm just going to jump into, again, this is 3D Sculptor X Shape, and I'm going to try to model this boat for you live. No pressure, right? And let's see here. So I start with a box. You have all those different shapes to pick from, but really I just love the box. It works for me on just about everything that I do. And I'm just gonna scale non-uniform here. And I know I'm gonna smash this down like that. I'm gonna add a whole nother edge loop thing. And I'm just gonna go for it. I don't wanna talk too much because number one, I hate the sound of my voice. And number two, I just wanna show you guys something cool. Let me get this over here. So I'm gonna go to the top view. First thing I like to do is, obviously this boat's symmetrical, so I'm going to turn on my symmetry, pick that plane. Great. Now's where things kind of get interesting. I can just grab these points and just start pulling them and tugging on them, just going different ways with it. So it's really forgiving. X shape doesn't really let you get into trouble at all. Okay, so I'm just looking at my sketch. Maybe I should drag that up. I'm gonna grab this, and this. I just held down control. And now I can just hit this extrude button down here and it's gonna extrude out, okay? So I'm like slowly like building something here, right? And what I find incredible about this software is I can just literally drag and pull. So it's like digital clay, but it's the first piece of software that I honestly feel like it keeps up with me as far as speed and everything like that goes. So I'm going to insert an edge loop here, and that's just going to give me a little bit more definition. Okay. And then I can grab this, I can rotate these so they dip in a little bit, and just having fun modeling. So now I'm just going to grab all these guys. I'm going to live up here, push you forward.
The difficult thing here, Jason, is like, part of me wants to say, can you just slow down a bit because the zoom is a little bit choppy, but at the same time, having you not slow down because you're not slow when you're modeling things, you're really quick, and it's kind of just, I don't know, it's like they say enchanting. It's like I just want to keep watching
right,
more and more. So maybe slow down a tiny little bit, but not too much. I think everyone can see just how easy just grabbing the points, moving them around, adding bits on, and again, just sort of shifting around. And again, I fall into the trap, definitely. I don't know about you, Jason, but I start like modeling out the shape, and then I just spend the next few minutes, hours almost, just tweaking it a little bit, because you can just keep changing and keep updating, and just keep tweaking that till you get it perfect. And of course, you never get it perfect, so you just keep going.
Right. So with this, I found just like, I really love this extrude feature because it's like magic. You know what I mean? It's just like boom, and now it's like, obviously it doesn't look like a boat yet, but when I start like just grabbing these items here and just kind of pushing them just one way, nice little baby pushes, it starts to turn into something, man. And so right now I'm just gonna try to model this. Woo. I can grab these edges and just move them in like that. And now I'm gonna do like a cool cockpit looking like fighter jet style boat, because like I said, if I had a boat, it would look cool, right? So here we go, just like this. I'm gonna rock this back a little, and then yeah, so obviously it's not there yet, but I can keep growing this, and I can get that box, just by pulling these, all that C2 surface continuity, it's all updating on its own. And one thing I like doing is just double clicking an edge, and it gets that whole loop to go around. And then from here, I can do what's called a crease. And this is just like another like mind-blowing moment here in X shape, where I just throw a crease on that. And you see how it's a different color. It doesn't look like much here, but if I double click that line again, and I start to like grow it in different directions, you can see that it's now like it's a hard edge coming off of the boat. So just gonna finite some of this stuff. There's that hard edge, you know, and now when we get in to underneath the boat here, a new trick that I just learned is you click the first surface and then you hold down shift and it'll select all the other surfaces for you that you're trying to get. So all I'm trying to do is bring this up here. Just a little bit. And then like you can get so sloppy and just like grab a bunch of them and like do a non-uniform scale. It's like crazy. So now let's just kind of tweak this. I can rotate the whole vertices, all those around, rotate them a little bit. I can grab this guy, pull him out. And like Justin said, it's very easy to fall like right into like each little curve and surface. But for this, I'm just gonna bring in the nacoducts is what I call them. They suck in air here and they just throw more air down at the motor. Okay, so I can grab these, rotate them down, something like that. There we go. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go to the top view, drag this in a little bit, grab this guy and bring him in. So I really like using the screen mode and then adjusting my screen for different angles and stuff. One thing I can do, I don't really like this curve right here. I'm gonna tighten this up. Yeah, now it's starting to look like a boat, man, you know, but this motor down here is kind of, you see that? Motor sticking out. So I guess like the old way for me to do this would have been like a bunch of surface lofts and guide curves and a whole bunch of crazy things. And just being able to update this so quickly, it's updating the whole model instantly as I draw it down. So it's just such powerful stuff. And
I think when you're, you know, when you've got an idea for something, you're not quite sure how it's going to be or how you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, just watching you just make some quite drastic changes and you know, just kind of changing your mind about certain things, tweaking it to accommodate like the motors, as you said. You know, it clearly shows like if, as you said, I think if you were using just normal parametric modeling, you know, what can happen is you spend all this time creating some surfaces for this, and then if you want to change it, it can be kind of difficult to make that change. Whereas you've clearly shown that, you know, making quite drastic changes like what you're just doing right now,
right,
you know, is really quick and really easy.
And, you know, 3D modeling, Justin, it used to be something that like you had to really think out and you had to dial in your drawings and you had to make it like
ahead. Yeah.
You had to make it money before you even started CAD or anything like that, you know? And with this, what I found is sometimes I'm just conceptually modeling in 3D space, you know what I mean? So I'm just like pushing ideas around and maybe it's a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea, but I'm able to move on quickly. And, you know, like I could copy this and do a different one and just keep on plugging away at it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do a sub D on those two faces. Yes. So this is going to, this is cool. So this is like a little like windshield, you know? And so the whole time I'm doing this, I'm also keeping in mind, like, ultimately I want to get to Solidworks because it's what I know and it's what I've used and trusted for my entire career. So when I'm in here, I'm thinking about, you know, different things I can do in Solidworks. And I'm just keeping that in mind too, because I think that the maker package comes with that as well, obviously. Yeah. And that's just really powerful stuff. So So here, I want to show you a quick, obviously I don't want you guys to watch me model a boat all day, because that
we could. And
that's not too much fun, but like, obviously I just can't stop. I just cannot stop modeling. It's a problem. So I'm just going to lower this down a little bit. This just needs to be a little more evil here. I think
so.
I want to show you real quick the perspective mode. And here,
Did you want to just, let's go to, so we obviously did a little bit of preparation earlier today for this. Do you want to just bring up the other version? So like, I'll let Jason spend a little bit more time than the 5 or 6 minutes that we had today to just kind of take this design a little bit further. Obviously, wants to make it look pretty. As I
just want to see it in brass first.
Yeah.
yeah. So right away I see it's balling out in with perspective. I turned perspective on. It helps get a different camera angle on it. And the materials are so easy. Like you can do just like, regular basic, which is cool. But I really like working in this clay mode. It just
like flat.
Yeah, man. It's easy to see. It's easy to work with, but it's got a cool shape. So anyways, yeah, Justin's right. Let's hide this. Let's just hide it. Let's turn this guy back on up here. Double click this guy. Let's turn this guy right here. Boom, turn the knit on. And we should be able to see. Okay, so this is the original one that I spent a little bit more time honing. I just like the slope of this cockpit a little bit better. It just looks pretty cool. I like it. And then here's the motor back here. But so this was basically
just double click at the very top, Jason. It'll bring the motor back in. You'll be able to see it. In fact, actually,
oh, there we go.
What we could do is, do you want to just jump over to Solidworks? Because I think one of the really cool things about this is that you can work on your X-shape 3D Sculptor design, get this kind of nice, and then you can just bring that design directly into Solidworks. So you're just gonna switch over.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Did you maybe you shared just the
oh yeah, sorry,
the wrong just the one window and not your whole screen, so we can only see the boat still in X-shape.
Okay, good to know. Let's go.
Well, that's why there's two of us.
yeah. Let's see here. I want to share this one. Yeah, I was trying to share all screen. I got a lot of screens. Here we go. We'll go with this one. How's that look?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So just to sort of help Jason in the preparation for this, I actually used my own version of 3D Experience SolidWorks and brought Jason's design in while he was still making it. Because what you can also do is not just take it once it's made, but also take it once it's made and then update it and get any of the changes that Jason did. And I use SolidWorks just to edit that model, to shell it out, because SolidWorks is just perfect for all of obviously that detail design, just to really get that design really honed in, get all the detail that you need before, whether you're going to 3D print this or however you're going to make this design. Probably this, we could have split it in half, made sure all of the there was no overhangs or anything like that, and 3D printed the two shells that could fit together once we've put the motor in. I mean, I just did it to show just some really basic sort of cutouts on the back to accommodate how the sort of motor system would fit in. Make sure that swing arm that allows the sort of fan to be tweaked or kind of directed or turned on and off. I apologize if you can hear babies in the background as well. And then obviously added some features in here to just hold that motor in place, but also let the water, because what happens with this one is the fans move and pull the water from the bottom and shoot out the back to get that propulsion for the boat. So we just kind of scoop that out of the bottom of the design. So as Jason said, he uses SolidWorks every single day for the work he did, and that's not going to change when it comes to using 3D Experience SolidWorks, because as well as the stuff he's just shown, he's also able to use SolidWorks, with that. So it was just a simple case of bringing that model that Jason had created, and then at any time we can just simply update the design. So if Jason makes a change, saves it, I just update the design, it's going to rebuild it inside of SolidWorks, and we're going to get that latest design. So why don't you take it from here? I know the next step. I know you love to make things look even better than what we do right now.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, a big part of my workflow and process is the final rendering. A lot of times I have to get client approvals on what we're about to build. So for me, I rely on SolidWorks Visualize for doing that all. And it's just amazing how fast it works. But I need something that's quick. I don't have a lot of time. I spend all my time designing and modeling. So at the end of the day, when I need to hit that render and go, it takes the guesswork out of setting up a light rig or anything like that. It kind of just does it all.
Just before you can, are you showing Visualize now, Jason? Because we're still stuck on SolidWorks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm still.
No, that's cool. There's a question just before we carry on. There's a question that just came in as well. Let's make this interactive. Gleb, I think it was, said it looks great. He said it looks amazing. I'll use their words, not mine. Do you follow the same process when you design for manufacturing? Now I can help with this question because I know that there are some tools inside of Xshape, the app, where you can do draft analysis, you can do zebra stripes, but draft analysis really helps if this needs to be molded, or even for things like 3D printing, you can make sure that you've got that you don't need supports, let's say, by looking at that draft analysis. And the really cool thing about the draft analysis tool is that it's dynamic. So as you're making your tweaks and your pushes and pulls within Xshape, the colors of the draft analysis are going to change. So when you get an overhang, let's say, you're going to be able to see it immediately. So there are some tools there to help you make sure that thing is manufacturable at the end. And in the end, it's creating 3D CAD surfaces. So they're no different to the surfaces you would create inside of SolidWorks. So hopefully that helps.
Nice. So you could turn zebra stripes on in Xshape.
Yeah,
that's cool. See, I learned something. I was trying not to learn anything new today, but there I go. That's really cool, because I've used that a lot of times when the surfaces are just not quite right, and especially for manufacturing, you want to make sure you have that right draft angle on there. That's cool. So yeah, this is what I use to. This is what I call the fun stuff. This is where you set the scene and you render out what you've been working on, and you really get to see it. And what's so unique about Visualize is it relies on CUDA cores, and it just processes it so much faster through your graphics card. And this is all right now real-time rendering. So it takes like 4 seconds, and I see what it looks like. And what's really cool is, you want to see it blue. You smack some blue on there in the materials, and you just let it do its thing. And here, let's go with black. Yeah, Batman. That is so cool. So let's keep it red. I don't know, I like red. Another thing that I can do is they have this thing called back plates, and I found this picture just on Google or somewhere, and it's basically just the I don't know, the Caribbean maybe, and I can just put my boat on there and kind of spin it around, and it looks like it's it's in the water, type of thing. So that's really cool. You can get like cool effects with your item. Sometimes it helps to take the item and put it in its natural state, or its ecosystem where it lives, and I think it can help bring things to life more. So I'm going to go back to gray. Another cool thing is, the cameras, they're really easy to control. I have a few cameras already set up, but right here, you can change the perspective on the camera, which is basically the camera lens So right now I'm running like 86 millimeter. And I mean, the cool thing about Visualize is it takes all the work out of setting up, a render for you, but it still has all that detail. If you want to go in and fine tune each little light and bit, if you got the time, you can go for it. So it's basically, from what I can see, pretty endless, and a lot of power, a lot of giddy up and go. So really enjoy Visualize.
Cool. Do you want to? I think just thinking about time and just making sure we get like everything. I don't really want to show. I know you create that video for us so that we could see some of the other projects that you've worked on.
Oh yeah,
some like really interesting projects that might be good to show. And again, the thing to mention is like all the same tools that you're using and you were showing today. That's what you use for your your everyday projects.
Yeah, for sure. So I can.
You might need to do that share thing again to get the video to share.
We're gonna do it one more time. Let's see.
Yeah.
Movies and TVs. Well. Sure. I wonder if there's a way to share like just my entire screen. Screen sharing is stopped. Okay. Share screen.
If you play the video first, maybe, and then.
Yeah, I tried that. Here, let's see here. Maybe if I try a different player. Yeah, I think this is going to work. 1 second. Here we go. There we go. I had to try a different player. It didn't like my other player.
We got it.
Okay. So yeah, this is kind of what I've been up to these days. It's a lot of machine tools. Okay. You spend your life in a machine shop as long as I have, and you're a designer, you're going to probably design a bunch of CNC machines and lasers and stuff like that. But this is what I do. I start off usually with an artboard. And for this one, obviously the Aventador was really cool. The SR-71, because of the name, got a lot of components from that jet, and started pouring it into different parts on the machine, like the spindle cover and different housings. This was an electrical panel in the back. They just wanted to spruce up the machine. This is an outfit out of Ohio, and they make really cool machines, and they just wanted it tuned up a little bit. So provided them with a lot of concept sketches, and then took it to the 3D model, obviously in SolidWorks. And this is a future plan type thing that they have. And this is basically another CNC machine, just a different design, something that hasn't really been seen on the market. And I got that to their engineers. Now, this is really cool. This is a laser company asked me to do an animation for them. And this is just one of their products that they sell. This is a fiber-based laser. And I used Visualize to animate all those parts coming together. And you can see like the door opens and this tag slider comes in. And so I was able to put my animation hat back on for a minute and turn this out.
It looks familiar, Jason, the machine.
Yeah. This is the baby brother to the one that I have
over your shoulder.
over my shoulder here. That's a 3D version of this, basically.
Nice.
There it is. So I was able to take a 3D model from SolidWorks and blast it out on the laser layer by layer. It took a long time, but it was totally worth it because this is a solid chunk of steel, and I was able to nail my JP logo on it. And these are two of the criminals here that live with me. These are my kids. These are the three boys, Max, Kip, and Cash. And don't worry, when they open the doors, it automatically shuts off the laser. And this is them helping me out with the 3D printer, which they think just makes toys. So they constantly want me printing items on the 3D printer. And this is another thing I do. Always got to be making stuff. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the WWE belts that are out there. I've been making those for over 10 years now. And it's a huge process. And obviously I rely on Solidworks to model it all up and get the stones dialed in. And each one of those stone pockets has to be absolutely perfect. And it's just such a strong tool. I couldn't do it without Solidworks. Here's one of the knives I'm working on, and you can see all the detail in that model. You know, this is all aluminum, steel, and the hardware is titanium. And it's just a prototype I'm doing. I get a ton of questions about my workstation and where I'm at now. I'm upstate New York, about an hour and a half from New York City. And I have my workstation here is a Box Apex 1. And it's really nice. It's really fast. And you can see I'm using X shape there to do a car, and visualizes on the left. That's a Wacom monitor. I'm able to draw with like my stylus on that. So if I have a quick idea, I want to sketch out, I can do it. But yeah, this is my setup now. I'm in the garage, you know, where I belong, and it's attached to my house. So I'm close yet far, you know. And inside this, what makes it really spin is I have a NVIDIA A6000. It's the RTX, and I also have an RTX A2000. So it's over 13,000 CUDA cores for processing, which is awesome.
We don't know what that means, but it just
yeah,
sounds
you know what, man? I don't know what it means, but it sounds cool to say, you know, CUDA cores. And this is a car rendering that I recently did, and it's all 4K rendered out, and it's just really cool to see the technology. You know, it's come a long way. I'm now rendering full frames in like 20 seconds when I remember, you know, I used to set up a render and go to lunch, and, you know, that was like, you know, come back and, oh man, I wonder if it's done, you know? So, but it's just really cool to see it and be able to use it every day. And the software's come so far, man, you know, it's all speed of light now, you know?
I think what I found sort of really, I guess, fun and interesting with Jason, like when you first started, you know, working with us, it was like, okay, Jason, here's some software which, you know, we think would be good for you, which in that case was X shape. And the first design was that he did was actually that wolf that he had his kids 3D print. So it was like one of the most complex models I think I've seen in X shape ever. And he did it as like his first test model. And then the sort of second one was the car. And obviously you've seen the boat, and there's been sort of loads more in between. I want to jump back, if I can sort of take over the screen. I'll just, hopefully I can just share. So yeah, let me know sort of when you see it. This is me just showing off now, obviously. Like, this is Jason's model. I've just opened up the same one. We're like on the same, we call them tenants, but basically we're on the same system. So I can see the work Jason's done when he shares it with me, and vice versa. So I've just turned on the draft analysis, which is down here, Jason. If you want zebra stripes, you've got it here. But yeah, as I said, if you just simply start to edit the design. So if I jump into here, and you know, this is not what I do every day, so and just pull this around. Also, I must say, today I had all sorts of problems with Zoom, and I'm actually using my wife's Mac. So nice. You can just see, like, what's kind of nice about this as well is that because it was just connected to the platform, we were just able to, you know, grab Jason's model, you know, no matter what laptop. And I'm just going to kind of ruin it now for him, but just to show how, you know, whether it be the zebra stripes there, or if I was to do the draft analysis, you just pick a pull direction. Everything you do here is going to simply update. You can just see, I'm just going to like mess around with it to show the green sort of coming in there to show that positive and negative sort of direction change. So yeah, anything you do here, if I decide to sort of twist that round, pull it back out, again, you're just going to see all of
I
the
like that. That's a good
draft
look,
analysis change. Again, just these things are put in here. Again, this is not just a, you know, push and pull bit of clay. We really try to think about those next steps. So you've got things like connections to 3D printing. You've got the Fab Connect tools in there as well. So if you set that up in your Fab Lab, you can connect directly to many of the machines in there too. I did want to highlight as well the maker community. This was something we talked about. I talked about briefly at the beginning, but along with access to the tools, we give you access as well to our maker community and our support community as well. So that this is all about just sharing the different projects that you're working on, or interacting with others and seeing what projects they're working on. It's obviously to just inspire those conversations. And then there's a support community as well to enable you to get support whenever you need any sort of help. And there's actually a load of onboarding stuff. We have like what we call a wiki in here, and there's kind of loads of stuff about how to use this and how to use the tools as well. And obviously the idea of there is just to supply, you know, help and support when you need it. So I'm just going to switch back to my PowerPoint just to sort of finish off, and we'll happily stay for longer and answer any questions. But if you want to use the tools that Jason's using, I didn't really want this to be all about being a pitch, but I think it's important to understand what the tools are we're using. Today in Fab Labs, you can use Solidworks. And we always had that question of what about when I leave the Fab Lab, like how can I carry on? So this is why we created the 3D Experience Solidworks for Makers offer. And just kind of what we've shown today is powerful parametric modeling with Solidworks CAD, where you install it locally, but it's connected to you know, the platform that we have, that gives you access to the online design tools like Xshape and Xdesign. They're the actual apps, and they're part of these what we call roles, but called 3D Creator and 3D Sculptor. So it's all described on the website. So if you just go to solidworks.com/makers, you can find all the information there. And as I said as well, you know, we want to kind of build on that community side, which we know is you know, a great part of Fab. Like went to Egypt the last event. I've been to others in the past, and they're just great places to go, not just for all the presentations and the content that you get, but just to meet with other people who kind of share the same sort of passion for creating things and supporting others. Jason's also shared this as well, so if you do want to get in touch with Jason, there's like all of these different places here. Or go to jasonpohl.com as well to see the website that he showed. So I don't know whether we had questions come in as we were presenting. I'm not really sure how that all worked, but if there are, can somebody on our system let me know? And if they're not, if you do have any questions for Jason or myself, please just you know, enter it into the chat that we have.
Yes, we have a question from Gleb. She said, "This looks amazing. Do you follow the same process when you design for manufacturing?"
I think we answered that one earlier. I'm like, he's nodding, so yes, we did. So yeah, hopefully with like whether we showed the tools that we showed, that gave you the answers that you want. But I mean, the SolidWorks that you saw is the SolidWorks that you know, that we've been creating for 20 something years. And then these new tools that we've added on top of that, again, is to just kind of boost that capability and the freedom to design whatever you want.
question, please?
So we've got a message that says, please leave your questions in the chat, but it's in the chat. So if you didn't know to leave them in the chat, you might not look at the chat. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, add them to the chat. We'd happily answer anything.
Yeah.
Want to share with Jason or ask something?
Okay.
You can put it in the chat.
So I have a question for Jason.
Oh boy.
Don't worry. When a lot of time, I guess people like to know a little bit about your process, how you got started, those sort of things. I think we kind of touched on your process. You've shown, sketching, whether it be, I know you've got some nice pens for sketching as well. So it's not always digital, but then that ability to bring it into tools like Xshape and even Solidworks to then model over the top of that to get you rough concepts. So I think there was a really cool picture in the video where you had the Solidworks model, but with sketches kind of on top of that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I guess you rough out the model to get the size and shape.
Yeah. A lot of times the thing is like there's no set recipe whenever I design something. Sometimes I can jump right into SolidWorks, model it up, and it's like bang and ready to go. Like, this is awesome. Other times I sketch it down in some different sketchbooks I have. Then I refine them on the Wacom with like some different colors. Sometimes I just do pencil, pen, and marker. You know what I mean? But each time, like I said, there's not really a recipe. I just kind of go for it. But one really cool trick is, which is what I think you're getting at, is you can model something up and then get like a perspective view on it, and then kind of ghost that out and then sketch on top of it so you get like your proportions right. Because I think that's a big part of drawing and sketching, is before you can even get to the creative part where you're like designing something and you're just kind of going for it and you're putting vents and ducts and cool stuff here and there. Before you get into that, you need to have correct proportions, or else it's just going to look wrong. So I think that's the biggest thing is, working on proportions. And there's things like you can draw on top of 3D models and just look at, like, I always recommend like a ton of reference material. And I always say you just got to keep designing bad designs until you get to a good one. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds so silly, but sometimes it's just a process of elimination. It's like, all right, let's try like this. Oh, that looks horrible. Let's try it like this. That looks horrible. And that's why it's so great with the new tools to be able to do it quickly and not like, man, I worked on this same model for 45 hours and it looks horrible. You want to just, you want to be able to move on to the next thing and be productive. And that's what like the new tools like Xshape allow me to do, for sure.
Cool. So another one is like, how did you get started? Like if you were a young designer or you were a designer wanting to get started with this stuff, that's, again, I hear this, we'll see this question come on, even in your Instagram, you get this sort of question. Yeah.
And that's the same kind of answer. There's no magic button that I'm like, oh, go here and tell them, so-and-so, and then you're a designer. It's one of those things. If you want it bad enough, you can get it and you will get it. But in this day and age with technology everywhere in the media and how it flows, you have access to it now. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to the library anymore and research. You can follow people on social media, see what they're doing, and just try to get a better understanding of design and modeling. So I think it's all about forcing yourself to remain uncomfortable and learn something new every day and just use that to your advantage. So that's always been, kind of my thing, is just try to learn something new and accept defeat, but gracefully, and just keep hammering away.
So another question as well, and we definitely didn't prepare these questions like what's your, and you're going to be able to answer this that easier, I think, as well, but it's like, what is your favorite chopper design? But the biggest one is why?
Man, I don't, the one that comes to mind for whatever reason was it's the dragon bike, because it was so exotic, and we had center hub steering on it, so you didn't really steer like with forks. It was kind of like a jet ski, it ran on cables, and all the modeling that went into it, it was pretty intense. I really like that one. I really like the one we did in the biker build off with Jesse, because the whole thing, I modeled the entire thing, and inside the gas tank, you could see like the structure of it to make it solid. And I had the gas pass through the frame from tank to tank, and the exhaust actually ripped through the frame, which was really cool. And so I really like that bike too. I like them all,
We have another question from Eduardo Hiro. He asks, how many hours do you consider are needed for a person to learn prototyping from zero to get very basic knowledge?
Did you get that, Jason, yet?
Yeah, I see that. You know what? I guess it's hard to put in hours on it. I would say you could learn quite a bit in 1 hour. It's all about jumping in and just running with it. You want to have an idea of what you want to make and why you want to make it. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's just because it's cool, just because you think it looks cool, you want to make it, you need it in your pocket, you need it to do something or perform a task. And then you take the steps to execute it, and you see how you could get it made. And with the maker offer, it's pretty outstanding, because it's real life tools to make real life parts, so with that, by learning the software and having a good understanding of it, you can make anything. It was just a few months ago, and I never thought I'd be able to model in 3D space an entire car, and with the new tool sets I had in front of me, I was like a kid again. I was excited to get on it and start modeling it. And I just think it's whatever drives you, that's what you want to pursue.
Cool. There's another question that's just come in.
Yeah, from Juan Granados, we have another question. He asks, how do you avoid getting dragged by the inspirations to find online in order to create new designs? I noticed that everybody starts to design the same styles and there is less innovation.
Right. So that can be a true statement. A lot of times you want, because like when I first started out designing motorcycles, like I'd get all the biker magazines and all the different stuff, and then I'd flip through them just to see what other peers, in the industry were doing. But I felt like it was kind of it was disheartening. I wanted to just get a clean slate and kind of go for it. So what I'll do, if I have a product, sometimes I'll research it and get different ones and pick what I like about this one, what I don't like about that one, but in a way that kind of isn't true to myself. So what I'll do a lot of times is start with a blank slate and just draw what I think that product should look like, and just go for it. And then sometimes you compare it and it's like, wow, that's not very original, but that's all part of it. And you can't be scared, or you can't let that stop you from making something. You know what I mean? Or else you just won't get out of bed in the morning, So, but yeah, it's interesting. And for me, I do at times block out other ideas, and I try to start just completely from scratch and then refine from there,
I think to add to that, like, this is not me saying anything from my experience, but actually watching the sort of things that you've done. Like you mentioned the dragon bike. So just while we were doing it, I just Googled it, just have a look at it. But you've also talked about other bikes as well. And I think the really interesting thing about those is how personal they are to the person or the company that was asking to create it. So for me, that's where, you know, if you get personal with the whys about what you're doing, then you can start creating something different. Because all those bikes, like, yeah, they've got wheels, that, you know, they're a bike, but they're all very, very different.
Yeah, definitely true. But in each project brings its own obstacles to overcome. And you know what? Sometimes you have to play by different rules. You know what I mean? And that's different. But for makers, it should really be what they want to make and what drives them, you know? Yeah.
Again, for like my experience, for me, all my, you know, my home creations are very functional. Like it's about, for me, it's about solving a problem.
Right.
And yeah, I like to make it look a little bit nicer with a little bit of finesse afterwards, but generally it has to solve that problem. So whether, you know, you'll see the amount of hooks and things in my shed and my garage to hang my tools on and things. These are all, you know, things I did with SolidWorks to solve problems of just not having enough space. What you know, you just mentioned there, one of the comments about the way, you know, the way you design, where you kind of can look at something very different and kind of bring it together with a design, you know, need or whatever that you've got. And for me, when you showed me the first time you showed me the CNC machine you were modifying, like you were designing, and you said the name of the plane, and I don't know planes, but I know Blackbird, like I knew the Blackbird plane. And I was like, how are you using that as inspiration for a CNC machine? To me, those two things didn't go together. Again, that to me was a really interesting thing that, you know, by just taking something that may be a little bit out of the ordinary and mixing it together with something else, that's where, you know, I think innovation can come. And I think we saw that with that CNC machine. Like that to me was like something I've not seen before.
Yeah. And typically the CNC machines are very boxy, very white, and just kind of put there. And the one, because I've had a lot of experience with them, you know, and I mean, even with 3D printers, I had a 3D printer about 15 years ago, you know, and it was really cool. But with CNCs, a lot of the doors, they slide shut right here, and you have to like peer around to see the center where all the action is, where the spindle's hitting the material. And I was always like, man, if I ever design one of these, I'm going to do it where it's just one big, huge sheet of glass, you know, safety glass, so you can actually see what it's cutting, and it just makes sense, you know? So sometimes design is just how to make something easier to use, and sometimes it's just common sense, you know?
It's common sense if you think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
We have another question from Eduardo. He says, how many hours do you consider are needed for
we've answered that one.
Yeah.
It's not a new question.
We got that one, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Anyone else have a question or comments or want to share something with Jason? No, I think we don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Guys.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I'll let you wrap up, Jason. I'll let you say goodbyes. But you know, for me, thank you very much to everyone for listening and tuning in. We had fun. A bit of a shaky start, but it's definitely been you know, a fun session. And again, any chance I have to just watch Jason design something live is cool. So, want to say some words, Jason?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was cool to be with other makers like myself, and I think it's really cool that the new offer from SolidWorks, it comes with all the tools you need to be really successful. And I can't wait to see what other makers create. And I'll be on the maker space area there and the communities. And for me, it's a big part of, you know, what are other people making? I enjoy it. That's what social media and everything's all about, is getting inspired by one another and being there and being part of that tight knit community. So I'm excited to see that take off and be part of it, you know? So I wish everyone best of luck, and hopefully everyone keeps in touch, and you know where to find me if you need me. All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.